Hi friends, now let us discuss the next research method in the study of man family genetics, that is foster child method. Before discussing the foster child method, let us discuss one small concept, and that is development of a character. Even though each and every character in our body is controlled by some genes, the expression of those genes will be influenced by the environment. If the environment is suitable, then the concerned genes will be expressed to the maximum possible extent. If the environment is not suitable, then the concerned genes may not be expressed to the maximum possible extent. Consider two children in a family. Because of common parentage, those two children will have more or less a similar genetic makeup. Let us assume the genes which are responsible for intelligence. In those two children, more or less the genes which are responsible for intelligence are similar. Now, if you rear those children in two different environments, let us assume first child is reared in forest environment, second child is reared in urban environment. After a gap of 20 years, if you test their intelligence levels, definitely there will be variation in their IQ levels. That's why we can say that environment has a role in the development of a particular character. Each and every character is controlled by some genes, but the expression of those genes will be influenced by the environment. That's why in the development of a particular character, both genes and environment have a role. Now we know about this concept. In the beginning, our scientists, they did not know the combined influence of the genes and the environment in the development of a particular character. That's why they wanted to identify whether a particular character is because of genes or because of environment or because of both. Then they devised one research method, that is nothing but foster child method. Foster child method is a research method developed by our scientists in order to separate the respective influence of heredity and environment. In order to separate the respective influence of heredity and environment in the development of a particular character, our scientists developed this foster child method. Heredity is nothing but transmission of genes from one generation to another generation. That's why whatever the IQ level that is there in my body is because of the concerned genes. First of all, the concerned genes must be there, and for the expression of the genes, environment must be there. That's why here heredity means it is related to genetic component. Foster child method can be asked for 10 marks maximum. For your easy understanding, I gave this background, but it is not necessary for you to write in the exam. In the exam, you have to write like this only. The introduction must be like this. Foster child method is a research method developed by our scientists in order to separate the respective influence of heredity and environment in the development of a particular character. Now let us discuss how they separated the respective influence of heredity and environment. What is this method? Let us discuss. Here, our scientists have created three different types of homes classified as good, average, and poor. They created three homes categorized as good, average, and poor. In these three homes, the environment is different. In the good homes, there will be good ventilation, good lighting, good nutrition, good caretaking. And in the average homes, all those things are at average level. In the poor homes, they are at poor level. Now, they have selected some children randomly from the population. The underlying assumption of random selection of the children is, if we select children randomly, will get most of the times the children, average children. Why? Because in every population averages will be more in number and extremes will be very less in number. That's why if we select randomly some children from the population, in all the people there will be more or less similar genetic elements. That is their assumption. There is nothing to explain. That is their assumption. They assumed that. Consider one lottery draw. There will be a number of coupons, and all the coupons will be mixed, and randomly one or two coupons will be selected, will be picked up. Then the underlying assumption is that all the people will get equal chance for getting that lucky draw. Similarly, here also they assumed that if you select some children randomly for this study, most of the times they will have more or less similar genetic component. This is their assumption. Just mention that they selected some children randomly, and this is based on one assumption that the genetic element is equally distributed in case of a random selection. Then they placed those children in these homes. Now, because of random selection, what is our assumption? The genetic element is equally distributed. Now, let us assume because of genes, we are getting IQ level to the tune of 70 points. Let us assume 70 points. If the environment has no role in the development of intelligence, that means in the expression of those genes which are responsible for intelligence, then because of environment 0 points, here because of environment 0 points, here because of environment 0 points, then in all the children there must be same IQ levels. Am I correct or not? If the environment has no role, then the contribution because of environment is 0. Then because of a random selection, the genetic element is equally distributed. That's why here 70 points, here 70 points, here 70 points. That's why after rearing these children in 3 different homes, if we have same intelligence in all the children, definitely we can say that environment has no role in the development of intelligence. But if they develop variation, say for example, here if there is IQ of 110 points, here if there is IQ of 100 points, here if there is IQ of 90 points, the genetic element is same. Now tell me what must be the number here. Here it must be 40, here it must be 30, here it must be 20. That's why if you develop variation in the IQ levels in the children reared in these 3 homes, that variation must be because of environment, because all the children are placed in 3 different environments. Then we can say that environment also has a role in the development of that particular character. At present, we know that both genes and environment have a role. In the beginning, we thought that genes have a role in the development of a particular character. Now, to know whether the environment has a role or not in the development of a particular character, they devised this method. But it was not free from errors. Actually, they did not select the children randomly. There was selective placement of the children. Children from rich families were placed in good homes. Children from middle class were placed in average homes. Children from poor families were placed in poor homes. Why? We go and ask one rich family to give their children for so and so research. And if we want to place the children of rich family in poor homes, definitely their parents will not give consent. That's why in reality there was selective placement of the children. If there is a random selection of the children, then we can say that the genetic element is equally distributed. But here there is no concept of random selection. That is the drawback. This drawback was minimized in Chicago study. In Chicago University, they conducted one study. In that study, somehow they convinced the parents and they placed children of some rich families in poor homes, children of some poor families in average homes. Like this, randomly they placed. That's why that selective placement was minimized in the Chicago study. Then they found that in the children reared in good homes, there was IQ level of 112 points. In the children reared in average homes, there was IQ level of 105 points. In the children reared in poor families, there was IQ level of 96. That selective placement was minimized. That's why now the children are randomly placed. That's why the genetic element is equally distributed. That is assumption, whatever it may be. Now, whatever the variations that are produced must be because of environment. Now, we can say that here because of good home environment, there is good IQ level. Because of average home environment, average IQ levels. Because of poor home environment, poor IQ levels. That's why our scientists concluded that environment has a role in the development of IQ level. Now, answer my question. By using this foster child method, we can say that whether the environment has a role or not in the development of a particular character. But can you tell whether a particular character is because of genes or not? Okay, you can tell whether environment has a role in the development of a particular character or not. But can you tell whether a particular character is because of genes or not? No. That's why this method was improvised in another research study that is popularly known as Minnesota study. In the Minnesota University, they conducted one study to separate the respective influence of heredity and environment. Let us see how they conducted study. They have taken two families. Let us assume this is one family, this is another family. Let us assume the name of this family is P, the name of this family is Q. In this family, let us assume there are two children, capital A and small a. In this family, there are two children, let us assume capital B and small b. Now, with respect to these two children, they have same genetic makeup because of common parentage, and because of same environment, the IQ levels will be more or less same in these two children. In these two children also, there will be same IQ levels more or less. Why? Because common parentage, common environment. Now we want to separate the respective influence of heredity and environment. How? Let us see. Now, they exchanged the children between these two families. Small a is placed here and capital B is placed here. After the exchange of the children in this manner, after a significant time period, they tested their IQ levels. Now see, with respect to A and B, the environment is same, but they have different genetic makeup. Am I correct or not? This B is from Q family, A is from P family. That's why definitely they have different genetic makeup, but environment is same. But in the development of a character, genes and environment will have a role. Now, environment is nullified. Now consider A, B. In the environment, if because of the environment in the A, if there is development of 40 points of intelligence, in the B also there must be development of 40 points. elements. But both the children have different genetic makeup. Why? Because A is the child of P family, B is the child of Q family. Now, if the genetic component has no role in the development of a particular character, that means if the genetic component is 0, then both the children must have same IQ levels. But if the genes have a role, definitely both the children have two different genes, because both are the children of two different families. Definitely there will be different IQ levels. Then here 110, here 90. In reality also, they observed that even though there is similar home environment, they developed a variation in the IQ levels. That's why they concluded that genes have a role in the development of intelligence. Similarly, here also they tested. Both the children are exposed to same environment, but A is from P family, B is from Q family. Both have different genetic makeup. Now, whatever the variations that are caused in that are there in these two children, those variations must be because of genes. Why? Because both the children have two different genetic makeups. Here also they observe that there is presence of variations in these two children. Let us assume this is a rich family and this is a poor family in general. Apart from money, they have good home conditions here. Here they have bad home conditions. Broken families, quarrels between husband and wife, like this. Our scientists observed that the IQ level of A is greater than B. Why? Because here, based on this observation, we can conclude that in both these children, what is difference? Genetic component. Environment is same. That's why we can say that there is a role for the genes in the development of intelligence. Here also, our scientists observed that there is more intelligence in small a rather than small b. That's why we can say that genes have a role in the development of intelligence. And apart from this, they compared the IQ levels of capital A with small a. Capital A with small a. Capital A and small a are the children of P family. That's why both of them will have more or less similar genetic makeup. But capital A is exposed to one environment, small a is exposed to another environment. That's why whatever the variations that are there between capital A and small a, those variations must be because of environment. Why? Because both of them have same genetic component, but they have different environmental component. In reality, they observe that in capital A there is more intelligence. Similarly, here also in capital B there is more intelligence. With respect to these two also, both are the children of Q family. Genetic component is same, but capital B is exposed to good home environment, small b is exposed to poor home environment. That's why we can say that both genes have a role in the development of intelligence and environment has a role in the development of intelligence. That's why in foster child method, foster child means actually adopted children, adopted child. Here, what is happening? One child from this family is placed here, one child from this family is placed here. There is nothing but adoption. That's why the name foster child. That's why, in this way, we are separating the respective influence of heredity and environment in the development of a particular character. With respect to these two children, genetic component is same. That's why whatever the variations that are observed, those variations must be because of environment. With respect to these two children, the environment component is same. Whatever the variations that are there must be because of genetic component. Like this, the respective influence of heredity and environment are separated by using this foster child method. This is about foster child method. By using foster child method, we can come to a conclusion that whether a particular character is because of genes or because of environment or because of both. Now here the question is, if a character is controlled by both genes and environment, how much of that character is because of genes and how much of that character is because of environment? What is the percentage of influence of genes in the development of a particular character? What is the percentage of influence of environment in the development of a particular character? Can you identify by using this foster child method? No. That's why our scientists developed another method that is called twin studies. Twin studies method. Now let us discuss twin studies method.